So stop me if you've heard this one. Phil Spencer says something and people run with it and flip out and freak out and start harassing him and all this kind of stuff, right? So this comes from an article from an interview that he did where he said flat out that story-based games don't have the same impact they used to. And this is exactly what he said. The audience for those big story-driven games, I won't say it isn't as large, but they're not as consistent, he said. You'll have things like Zelda or Horizon Zero Dawn that'll come out, and they'll do really well, but they don't have the same impact that they all used to, because the big service-based games are capturing such a large amount of the audience. He says Sony's first-party studios do a lot of these games, and they're good at them, but outside of that, it's difficult. They're becoming more rare. It's a difficult business decision for those teams. You're fighting into more headwind. And what he's saying is absolutely correct. Now, the fact that he says this, a lot of people ran with this as being him saying there weren't going to be any more story-driven games on Xbox, which is pretty much ludicrous. So somebody linked him this article on Twitter and said he has to disagree with you. There's a large community that play for story-driven games, and Phil Spencer's response was, "It's healthy to disagree. I love playing single-player games. Point is, majority of play today is in service-based games. That's just a fact." And then he said, the other person responded to him, "I understand, but if you stop focusing on certain storyline games, it feels like you're shunning away your fan base." And Phil Spencer responded, "That's not what I said. Single-player games ship into a world of a lot of service games. Myself, I'm not a PvP player. He enjoys single-player games." He says his game of the year last year was Inside. He'd play Inside all day if he didn't finally finish. And then when the guy apologized, he says, "No reason to apologize at all. I wasn't hinting that they weren't going to do single-player games. It was just an industry point, just what he sees on platforms." So yeah, there you have it. Phil Spencer, he's a single-player guy. Like, people were flipping out on this. And here's the thing. I would expect a mix of both. I would think that most games that do come out on Xbox exclusively will have some type of multiplayer in them. Because if you look at what he's talking about when he says service-based games, right? He's talking about just what he said in other recent interviews. Games like Call of Duty. You still have those games last for years. People invest in them and buy packs for them. Halo 5. That game came out in 2015. We're in 2017, and it's super active. It continues to grow, and people are paying for rec packs and all this kind of stuff. Gears of War is the same way. Battlefield is the same way. GTA 5, right? You would expect that would be like this big story-driven game, and it is. But guess what's making them the most money now? Guess why so many people are still playing that? Because of the GTA Online. Now, when you look at the top 10 games each month on like the MPD, sure, a story-driven game might make it in the top 10 for a month, and then it drops out. And then what are you left with month after month? What's the consistent basis? The GTAs, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, the Minecrafts, the games that are exactly like what he's saying. I mean, this guy, he's not the head of Xbox because he's stupid, and he's not saying that they aren't going to do single-player games. He's just saying it's a bit of a risk and it's hit or miss, and he's 100% right. Yes, Zelda always does good, but this was the first new Zelda we've gotten in how many years? Yes, Horizon Zero Dawn did well, but that was already yesterday's news. Nobody's even talking about Horizon Zero Dawn anymore. While the other games that I mentioned are all still on those lists, and they stay there consistently. So he says consistently. He never ever said there won't be any single-player games or that they're going to stop doing them or anything like that. He's making an industry point, and he's 100% accurate. 100%. These games are much more risky, much harder to do, much harder to pull off into big sales numbers. Now, I don't care what numbers you try to throw at me. 1 million sold or shipped isn't a huge number these days. When you've got all these, 60 million PS4s, 35, 40 million Xbox Ones, the Switch is doing well, and when you talk about good sales, 1 million would be great. Like Zelda did great on the Switch, over 1 million, right? But that's not so great when you look at the PS4 or Xbox One. That's just how it is. These people want games that keep people active. They don't want you to trade them in. And games like GTA 5, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Gears, Halo, these games keep people going back. I was just playing Gears last night. Great game. still a lot of fun. There's packs, they're always implementing new things to it. That's what he's talking about, and I will link all this stuff in the description so you guys can check it out and read through it yourself. Once again, people taking this way out of context and putting more into it than should be awarded, in my opinion. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel tremendously. As always, we'll catch you next time. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.